then the next part of the system is going to be going about what the manager sees, so what the pool operators use to manage the staff, to allocate their training, how we can utilise groups, and the different permissions that the administrators can have. So you can have more than one administrator, so you can have assistance from other people in your organisation to assist with managing this, the different reports, the content as in modules, competencies and resources, and just how we set up the organisation and its help. Okay, so that's what this part 3 is about. Remember, if you've got any questions as you're going along, just fill out the question box, and I'll try to answer those as they come up on the screen. So all the managers, or the school operator and managers, they will from here be able to have access to this manager tab, and we set this up at the start. So we set all of this up for you. There's nothing for you to do at the very start, and then we trained whoever's going to be the managers on this management interface once we've got it all set up in your colour and your theming. And then we take you through what all of these stages, or what all these nav bars are here on the left-hand side. So all the navigation is driven on the left-hand side of the screen. So if you want to look at users, you just simply click on the users tab, and then that will bring open all of the information that's regarding users. So for instance, when you use any of these, there's generally 2 types of actions that you can do from that point. There's a top-level action, which is generally up at the top left-hand side. And these are things, for instance, for this one where you can create a new user. You can upload a CSV, so you can upload a list of users. You can create supervisors, or you can export out the users list and the details there. The second type of actions is along the line of, in this instance, it's of the users, where then you've got some actions there where you can go to, which is like a quick edit, adding them to groups, adding them to training modules, adding the specific user to competencies, and also opening up and just looking at their overall profile. So the profile section in here gives you just a quick snapshot of what their role is in the organisation, and their details and contact details, and also when they last logged into the system. And then from down here, we can see what groups they're a part of. And these library groups are really important. That's how we structure it, so that you can control what this user has access to in the library for their self-paced learning. So in here, you can just simply click the remove button from that instance, and then when that user then next logs in to their dashboard and goes to the library section, there's no instance anymore. It's been removed from the system. And similarly, if you at any time want to give them access to that library group, you just go to actions and add them into the infants group by a couple of clicks. And then when they logged in next time, the infants aquatics will turn up. There it is there. And then they have access to all of the content that's a part of that. So that's all really the self-paced learning, that aspect of it there. Going back, I'll just go back to this user's profile and have a look at what else there is that you can track for the user. So besides managing through the different groups, you can look at what training that they've done and where they're up to on all of the progress. And if they've completed it, you've also got access to their certificates and all of their results as well. With competencies, so these are like your senior first aid, your teaching licenses, your insurances, all those sort of things. In here you will have access and see when they're due next, or if they're overdue, and they all come out in reports, automated reports to you as well. But in here you'll be able to view the document they've loaded up against it, and you can add citing history. So you can see this one's compliant and this one's not in this instance. Events, if we're running events, there'll be, if we're running any live events, then we'll put them up in the system, and then there'll be a copy of what they've attended in the past. And similarly, any resources that they access in the system, it'll just show the last time that they've opened up that resource. So you can see a list of what they've gone through in those resources. And then finally, there's the Forms tab, where then in this instance, this user's been given access to 2 forms in their Forms tab, but at any time we can just hit the to-do list and tell them that we want them to complete this form by this time. etc. And then hit save, and as soon as you do that, that sends them an email, puts the form in their to-do list, and gives them a finished date and time for that form to be completed. So that's the users tab on the left-hand side here. The next part is the groups, and the groups we preset for you for some main groups, which is just an admin group, an all-staff group, and then all those library groups for you. So, and there's a couple of extras there for lifeguards and maintenance, but there might be smaller groups that you want to break up into the system. So you do have the ability to be able to create your own groups and be able to just add teachers to those groups. The groups are just there to allow you to report on a group of teachers, to assign specific training to a group. Instead of adding training and reporting on individual people, you can do it by group. The administrators in the system, so we would set, each school would have what we call a master administrator, and they basically have control over the system once we do the training with them, and they can then create other administrators. And the other administrators may not be masters, they might be what we call standard administrators, and then you determine which staff members they get access to. So you could have someone in your organisation that is just looking after 4 or 5 of your teachers, and then they can have controls over assigning those teachers training and reporting on just those teachers in the system. And also each of the administrators, we have a set of automated reports which we would go through and help set up at the starting process, which is training modules that are near due and overdue, or compliance that's coming near due or overdue. And those can be set to either daily, weekly or monthly for you to receive. And once you do that, you just save them, and then they just sends a report once a week or once a month into your inbox with a list of all of the staff that are coming near due on any of the training. Right, the next couple of tabs is just the modules, the resources and the competencies all work in the same way, where we can assign them to an individual user or to a group of teachers. So with doing that, that means that you can, if you have a teacher that's needing information on a certain class element or a certain type of training, or you might be running some in-house training and you want to give your staff something to go through prior to that training, then you can assign that to them, and they're all allocated in the same way, all of the resources. So you choose who the group is, and then you give it a date and time that you want them to be completed by, and then you hit the save button. And then they'll all receive an email if there's 10 people in that group. They'll all receive an email, and then they would all go to the to-do list, and it would go onto your reporting so you can track where they're up to in that training. Competencies, I'll just give you a quick overlook of that, but it does run exactly the same, where you assign your users and you assign your groups. But you can, if they're not being used, to leave them out. We put in some standard Australian, some industry competencies in there. But you can also, for your swim school, you might have different competencies. So you can actually create your own by giving them names, details, whether or not they renew, and how often, long before you want to renew, whether you want to document, and whether it needs to be cited or saved. And then it's available for you to use in your business. So, but once again, we go through training on that once when we were setting you up. We pre-set it up for you in the first instance, and then we'll train you on how to do that going forward. Resources, once again, exactly the same. We assign users, or you can assign groups. Because there's so many, there's over 149 active at the moment of these resources. There's little links here so that you can open up the PDF and view it first, or go to the video URL to watch that prior to you then assigning it to the staff. Library is just a way to structure where everything's being held in that front end, where the users will see. So, and that means that you can categorize what you want into different categories, what resources, and we take you through that on in the integration. Reports, there's some overview reports on users, groups, and the training modules, but the custom reports are really good ones so that you can do live reporting on all of your users, individual users, selected groups and departments. You can look at all their training modules. So it might be a selected module that you've allocated everyone you want to see where they're up to, or selected competency, say for instance CPR. and you could set that, and then you can use a filter. So no filter will bring back all the results, but you may also want to look at, who are all the compliant staff, or who's not compliant, or who's got training coming near due, so compliance coming near due, or who's overdue. So say I was looking for all the non-compliant users, and I generated that report because you're going to run a CPR course. Then you bring back a list of all the people that were non-compliant or coming near due. And from there, you can download those reports, or you can email. If there was 5 people in there, then you could email by putting your subject header there and a text there and just hitting send. So you don't have to go in and out of different systems to then email, find all the people's email addresses. You can do that all from the one place in the system. Forms, as they come in, then there'll be a list of the forms here. They're forms registers, so you can access what all of the forms that have been filled out, and you can also assign them to users, and you can assign them to different groups if that makes it easier. And in here, probably one of the last things I'll show you is just the setting up of the org. So every pool is a little bit different. So we set up all of your org structure details here, so they get brought through the forms and information. And depending on the size of the organisation, you may have different departments which you can set up in the system here. That's just interesting for your reporting and information reporting. And your locations, whether you have one or you have multiple locations, you can set those up in here so that then the staff members can be attached to those locations and the reports. And also positions, like we set up some to start with, but you can set up whatever positions you like, so you understand which of the staff members they are, and here's where you can do and set up all of those sections. Finally, the help. So, but just like the player where the staff get help, we also have help pages in here that then take you through and can navigate you through the different all of these areas through the system, so that you can track where everyone's up to.